What's going on, YouTube? It is KB Baby here, and today I have got a rant for you about the Eugenia Cooney situation that has been transpiring for a long while now, actually. I used to think that it was just something that recently happened, but this has been a situation that's been unfolding for a few years now, and I wanted to go over it and kind of explain why it makes me so upset, right? This is a very ranty-ish video, so I apologize in advance if I gloss over some things and oversimplify stuff, because at the end of the day, this is just a rant. This is just me venting my emotions about a really stupid situation that I think could have been handled a lot better. And the situation, I do feel like it would be beneficial, rather, that I give a couple disclaimers at the beginning of this. And I personally don't really find trigger warnings or disclaimers all that useful or helpful in modern society. I mean, I know some people do appreciate them, but I've always been able to just take things as they are. I mean, unless it's like violence or gore, in which case, whatever. But if you have an eating disorder or mental health issues, I would strongly advise that you view this video with caution, because we're going to be touching on some pretty serious subject matter, specifically anorexia, because we're talking about Eugenia Cooney. So, with that being said, that is my one olive branch I'm giving this video. That's your one. Take it. You're probably not going to get another one for a long while, okay? So, with all that being said, let us get right into the video. Also, if you want a more analytical approach to the Eugenia Cooney situation, I highly recommend WillyMac's video on the subject. It's great. He did more research than I did, and his video just came out quicker, honestly. I was planning on doing a much more researched video rather than a rant. Things just didn't go to plan, honestly, if I'm being straightforward with you. I'm linking it down in the description, and it's up on the screen right now. Hopefully, if you got time, you can check it out. I'm really trying to signal boost that video because it, in many ways, was the video I wanted to make. So, hey, if someone else did it, why should I? So, with all that being said, I want to talk about the subjects of my rant, because there are a couple people that I think share a lot of responsibility for this situation unfolding. I think Jocelyn Glenn, I believe it's pronounced, is a friend of Eugenia Cooney, has some role to play in this. Not too much, mind you, but just enough that I feel like I should mention it. She's a friend of Eugenia Cooney. She tried to help her and get her into therapy. It didn't really work out. I'm sure she's incredibly well-meaning, but I do think she did do some fairly stupid things. And I think the stupidest thing that she did that was probably way more damaging than anything else that has been done lately to her is just try to get her committed, I guess, and get her the help she needs, which sounds really crazy. I know that sounds like really out of left field, but I think the way she went about it was very harmful. There was a lot of errors in communication between her and Eugenia Cooney, it seems. So much so that, she thought that, Eugenia's mom was kind of abusive. And in WillyMac's video, WillyMac interviews a guy named Drew, I believe, who got into trouble in Pennsylvania and needed a place to stay, and he stayed at Eugenia Cooney's place. And he says that Eugenia Cooney's mother is fine. And what people need to understand, I suppose, is that to make this outrageous claim that Eugenia Cooney's mother is abusive is really, I don't like to use the word problematic, but it is. It is just very ill-informed, in my honest opinion. And unfortunately for Jocelyn Glenn, I think that she has a large role to play in this kind of big misconception that Eugenia Cooney's mom isn't doing enough for her. And while she is not the only reason why this is being perpetuated, I think another person that I can point out and, really call out would probably have to be this person, I believe it's pronounced antphrodite, who did a tarot card reading and came to the conclusion that Eugenia Cooney is in an abusive relationship with her mother, and I suppose her father as well, because of a tarot card reading. Now, whether or not you want to put stock into that, I don't think that should be the be-all and end-all of an abuse allegation, in my honest opinion. I think most rational people can come to that conclusion. But he's small fries. Let's be real. That is small fries. And sure, a couple 100,000 people saw this video, but that is just a drop in the bucket in comparison to the big problems that are facing Eugenia Cooney. Deplatforming is another massive problem that is happening in her life constantly. People want her off the platform for one reason or another. Even Jocelyn Glenn, a person that, again, was a former friend of her, has shared and advocated for this petition and shared it around, making a video on it, that she should be deplatformed so she can get the help she needs. Meanwhile, also, they believe that she's in an abusive relationship with her mother, so that would just mean she's relying on her mother, and you can see where the problems are, forming, right? You can't really be like, she needs to be, lose all her income, so she relies on her mother and, can get the help that she needs. But also, hey, her mother's, abusive. Like, I feel like that's a big, at best, that's a massive oversight, and at worst, that's downright malicious, in my opinion. Well, KB baby, how could you possibly come to the conclusion that people would maliciously do that? Well, I'm gonna let you in on a concept that's known online. It's called concern trolling. And concern trolling, to give you a textbook definition, or example rather, of it would be, hey, cops, police, 911, there's a person that is, posting really scary stuff on their social media. I think they might hurt themselves or try and take their own life. You need to send a police cruiser there, and paramedics even. And if they get there and it turns out to be a complete waste of time because the person isn't in any danger, then maybe they're not fine per se, maybe they're in a little bit of distress, but they're nowhere near miserable enough to the point of they're considering suicide or something like that. Like, it's usually taking an issue that's so small and exacerbating it to the point of, like, it in a lot of ways, it really does feel like a swatting. And again, if you just so happen to not know what swatting is, that's being like, hey, this person has a bomb in their house and they're gonna blow it up, or they have a hostage and they're gonna kill him. Very obviously breaking the law by calling in these false reports and trying to get people hurt or intimidate them. There's a lot of reasons it can happen, and I think Eugenia Cooney is a prime example of someone this can happen to a lot, especially because she's so big. People like Boogie2988 and Gabby Hanna probably experience similar concern trolling, if I had to guess. Of course, I don't obviously follow those people well enough to know how much that happens, but I have to assume that they're big enough and they have well-documented troubles with mental health that they probably have that happen to them way more than it probably should. And I think that's really, really messed up. And, I understand that you want Eugenia Cooney to get help, right? Take it from me, I don't want anybody out there to suffer the fate that Eugenia Cooney might suffer, anorexia, like, slowly just dying. I don't think that's a really... I wouldn't wish that upon my enemies, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You, and by you, I mean we, as the YouTube platform / community, can we realistically help her? Can we really? She's a 27-year-old woman. What can we do? Can we deplatform her? Well, again, these people believe that she's in an abusive relationship with her mother. So what? She's gonna go out and get a job? Huh? That doesn't make any sense. Like, do you think most employers would look at Eugenia Cooney and be like, yeah, she's the prime candidate of who we want here at our establishment? People online, like, hate watch her just because she looks ugly. Ugly / anorexic, obviously unwell, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Do you think, a lot of people out there that have retail businesses or, like, restaurants, do you think people are going to want to take that risk? I personally don't think they will. I think by taking away her platform, that could do so much harm to her. And furthermore, it sets a horrible precedent for the YouTube community in regards to mental health. I don't like the whole, when people, let me rephrase. YouTubers have a bad history with the platform and mental health. Like, a lot of YouTubers, maybe they're exaggerating, maybe they're not. They're like, my mental health, guys. I need to take a mental health break. And, in some scenarios, a YouTuber's mental health is a very serious issue, like Etika. And I'd say that Etika had some really horrible ramifications for the platform Obviously unintentional. He was very clearly, you know, in a bad place. His mind was basically... I hate talking about Etika, but, you know, his mind basically was telling him to do awful things and stuff, and it just had horrible precedents, okay? To get off this topic, because it obviously makes me uncomfortable, it had horrible precedents for the platform, right? And I feel like Eugenia Cooney could have a very similar effect if we were to just deplatform her for, well, not no reason. These people do have a reason, but it's not a very good one, in my opinion. And furthermore, YouTube themselves say that she doesn't violate their guidelines, which makes the situation even harder to deal with. It's just a messy situation. So, I think that's going to end the first part of the video. It's split into two parts, this video. That was just kind of like the whole Eugenia Cooney situation, briefly touching on some people. Now we get to talk about some specific people that have done some very stupid things, in my opinion, in regards to Eugenia Cooney. So, first off, I think we need to talk about chi channels versus commentary channels. People conflate the two, obviously. If you're in the commentary community, you obviously know this. If you're in the chi channel community, you might think that all commentary is tea and vice versa and blah blah blah. The main difference between tea channels and commentary channels is, I'd like to say, presentation and the subject of the videos. For tea channels, it's usually the beauty, the makeup community. I'd also throw in maybe Ethan Klein in there, Trisha Paytas, you know the people. But for the commentary community, it's much more widespread. It's just commentating on a specific issue. Again, I can see why people conflate it, but in reality, in practice, the communities that make up the two groups are much different. Now, we are going to be talking about some people in the teach community, specifically two people, and I think I should start on, or rather with, the one I have the least amount to say, and then on to somebody that I have a lot to say. First off, Repzilla. He had made a video about Eugenia Cooney's the Pro-Ana community. That's another thing that I didn't really mention, but I feel like I can mention now. Eugenia has often been stated to be pro-anorexic. That is utter nonsense. Basically, the argument for this is that she exists on the platform, and we'll go into some of the other arguments with Pastella Belle. Oops, gave my hand away with who the other person was, but whatever. Repzilla's proof that, you know, Eugenia Cooney is pro-anorexia is a fucking emoji. Yeah, get this. It's the blue butterfly, which is used by certain anorexic groups, pro-anorexic that being, to, you know, as a symbol, right? If you're expecting a punchline to this, no, the joke just wrote itself, honestly, bro. This is his... Dude, you cannot sum up a person's ideology with an emoji. You cannot get in their head with what an emoji they're using. That is utter nonsense, okay? And I don't think you need to be above the age of, like, 5 to understand that maybe that's a little stupid. Maybe that's a big stretch. But frankly, I guess Repzilla, you know, is 5 years old and just knows absolutely nothing about the real world, because clearly anybody above the age of 5 can clearly recognize that maybe using an emoji to justify, a person's position on anorexia would be a little, just kinda sorta fucking stupid, but, you know, clearly Repzilla is, you know, mentally incapacitated. So, that being said, hey, I'll cut you a deal, Repzilla. How about this? You can call me ableist and, you know, completely, like, just brush off any criticism that comes your way, you know, just like you always do, like with the Gabby Hanna situation, which you also botched. But, and I won't even bring that up, right? And we can just move on, right? Because, quite frankly, there's somebody else I want to talk about, and that's Pastella Belle. She goes by Belle Aubrey on Twitter, I believe, and I'm probably showing her tweet right now in a response to WillyMac's video, because WillyMac absolutely destroyed this chick in her video, because quite frankly, she kinda sorta has no idea what she's talking about. Frankly, like I don't really know where to start. So I suppose we'll just take it step by step. I think this is a slimy snake, dude. She lied about wanting to deplatform Eugenia Cooney, first and foremost. She said in one of her videos recently that she did not want anything bad to happen to Eugenia Cooney. She didn't want her to be platformed, etc., etc. Meanwhile, we, go back to the Eugenia Cooney petition. She was tweeting about how, good they would be to get her off these platforms, right? And, being like, oh, we have 37,000 signatures. Oh, it's being... That means, Susan Wojcicki has been, notified about it. It's like, dude, come on. Just admit it. You do not want her to die on YouTube. You don't want to see her slowly die and wither away and be positive about it. Let's be honest. Let's be quite frank with you. And no, Belle Aubrey, I don't give a shit that you also had anorexia or an eating disorder or that you yourself relapsed. Because quite frankly, if watching Eugenia Cooney made you relapse with anorexia, I have a suggestion for you. Don't fucking watch her. And I ripped that straight out of WillyMac's video, by the way. That's exactly what he said, and quite frankly, I'm only repeating it here because it's just a good enough point as is. I don't understand why, if somebody's making you relapse on something, that you would want to continue to be around that person and discuss and talk about that person. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But hey, moving on, maybe, I'm being a little too harsh on her. Well, I think I'm going to tell you one more just situation or anecdote of Belle Aubrey, and I think, you'll kind of understand that, no, I'm actually being, I think my anger is a little justified, because this next thing is utterly insane, dude. So first off, Eugenia Cooney, she does, I didn't really mention this because I didn't think it was too relevant, and it's only really relevant for this. Eugenia Cooney, she does fashion stuff and, cosplay and stuff like that, and in one of her videos, she was trying on new clothes, right? As she does. That's the purpose of her channel, right? And so, there's a couple slips in the video of her undergarments, which is a weird way to phrase underwear, yes, I know, but hey, just hear me out. I'm stringing you along, right? And so, it was pink, right? And Belle Aubrey's like, this Eugenia Cooney is flashing the audience to get views how far she has fallen. And her reason for saying this was because her mascara or her eyeshadow was also pink. Except here's the problem. It was fucking red. Yeah, I know, that's a big, you'd think that'd be a pretty big overstatement, oversight, rather. But no, she made this massive oversight for such an outrageous claim, which is utterly ridiculous. Now listen, hey man, again, it's like Repzilla, you gotta make a rent this month. I understand, you need a topic, and sometimes that's hard, but you can do what I do. Well, no, you can't do what I do, because I just do this as a hobby. You can't just, not talk about anything at all. I tried the daily grind, right? And it didn't really work out for me. I kind of got burnt out. But you could do a lot better than just utterly slander someone just because it's just, you need to make rent this month, and you need to perpetuate lies about Eugenia Cooney because you utterly can't stand that she's on the platform. Maybe it's not just because of money. In fact, I'm pretty sure in her tweet she said it wasn't monetized. Maybe it's just because you're a really petty and ugly person. And I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking deep down within your heart. I think you're a really ugly person in terms of personality. And you know what? I have nothing but horrible things to say to you. And I probably can't say them on YouTube because this is a snowflake generation and there's so many fucking guidelines that I can't say. I've probably towed the line a little bit in this video alone. So, and I know that sounds, outrageous, like common YouTube commentator stuff, but I'm genuinely being serious. There's a lot of things I could say to her that are pretty nasty, more nasty than she's ever done to Eugenia Cooney, and I really do want to, but I want to just, end this video before I pop any more fucking blood vessels, rather. Jesus, I've been talking for way too long. So, overall, just to sum it up, give it a nice, fancy conclusion. I think that Eugenia Cooney has done very little, and at worst, right, and at best, done absolutely nothing wrong to deserve the amount of hate that she has gotten in recent years, especially recent months and days. But hey, maybe videos like this and WillyMac's are a start of a new era where people can, be a little more rational with Eugenia Cooney. At least that's what I hope. So, anyways, I need to just end this video right now because my voice is getting sore. So if you did like and enjoy this video, then I guess like and subscribe. Hey, I did put some effort into this, you know. I'm sure, obviously this wasn't the video I was planning on making, but WillyMac beat me to it, and I have to give him props because it was a fan-fucking-tastic video. And I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope it's an exemplary example on how people should be talking about Eugenia Cooney instead of this garbage, like, armchair, like, bullshit that you see with these T channels. So anyways, I've been KB, baby. God bless your soul. Stay rad. Don't be radicalized. And yeah, I'm signing off. Peace.